welcome back to CGC, folks. If you're reading the plain text there, you're seeing that indeed it appears that Jim Ryan is set to retire, I believe, this April from his position as the head of the PlayStation brand over at Sony. Now, a lot of people might ask, how did this happen? What brought this this event to its crescendo? And it's been a series of things. I've had talks with other people who found out the news basically when I did, and I think it's come down to about two or three things. First and foremost, I think that he seriously screwed up when it came to rather the Microsoft ABK deal and not taking the deal that was initially delivered to him. Now, I could be wrong on this, but I believe the deal that they eventually ended up securing once they realized the FTC was going to fail was just to get Call of Duty on PlayStation for the next 10 years. And then at that point, the contract could be renegotiated. And if you notice, I just said Call of Duty. I believe the deal that was originally proposed to PlayStation is that they would get all of Activision's games. So you went from potentially getting a reinvigorated StarCraft, Warcraft, StarCraft Ghost, possibly that game could be brought back. True Crime Streets of LA, Gun, alternatives to GTA and Red Dead Redemption, respectfully, even though I don't really see those two franchises coming back. But they are Activision games, and Microsoft will own them. You're talking about, what's the superhero game that Activision makes where they get Prototype? That could be coming back. Hexen. There's a lot of games that are dormant, dead, just about forgotten that Microsoft is about to get their hands on next month once they put ink to paper, that Jim Ryan basically fumbled any chance of PlayStation getting those games unless Microsoft is feeling generous. They're just getting Call of Duty from Activision and Microsoft is very much intent on making Activision more than just Call of Duty again. So I think that's foul number one for him, or strike one. Strike two would probably be the constant pivoting that he's had to do in the public eye. As my phone goes off, sorry about that. The constant pivoting that he's had to do in the public eye. What am I talking about? Well, we believe in generations. Remember that? Oh, Jim Ryan, yeah, we're not doing PS4 games. We're going straight to PS5. And then they end up having to support the PS4 for more years than Microsoft proposed to support the Xbox One. Because COVID hit and you couldn't just put out PS5 games because one, PS5s were very hard to get. Two, people didn't have jobs, and if they did have money, they certainly didn't want to spend on a video game during that time. That was strike two. Strike three. Now, a buddy of mine seems to think that strike three is actually the opposite, but I'm going to give you my view on it, and then I'll quickly explain his first. He thinks that Jim Ryan pushing PlayStation players toward PC is like a big damnation on his, let's just say, his legacy at the company. And that's why he's being forced to, quote unquote, retire after about only 4 or 5 years at that position. I, however, think it's the opposite. I think Sony wants to make more money. And they can't make more money if you're not making those releases closer to day and date with the PlayStation versions. Think about it. How much money could Sony be making if they sold PC players a lot of these big PS5 games around the same time, if not at the same time they're selling the PS5 players? How much more money could Sony make if the DLC for those very same games was being sold to PC players at or around the same time as being sold to PS5 players? Because here's the thing, yeah, they're charging $70 for their games on PC. At least I think they are. Some of them maybe 60. But when you pay that 60 or 70 on PC, you're getting everything that comes with that game. You're not getting piecemeal the main game and then the DLC later. You're getting the entire thing, as was just shown with Horizon Forbidden West that's coming out on PC. They're getting the complete edition. That's the Burning Shores DLC, the whole nine. They could have sold that to PC guys. They did sell it to PS5 guys. They could have sold it to PC guys. You know what I'm saying? Like the God of War Ragnarok, when it eventually comes to PC, they're going to have to sell them the whole thing once the DLC drops. Like, my thing is, would the PS VR 2 headset, which I own and I played sparingly, but I played it, would that have been a better proposition to anybody else if it had PC compatibility? Meaning, if a PC player looked at that headset and said, "Oh wow, $600 for a headset that pretty much is better than every other headset on the market," for the price, they could have sold a lot of those headsets to PC players. Because I certainly think that's how the Meta Quest is getting by. You get a Meta Quest 2 or the upcoming 3 and a data cable, you can use that thing as a PC headset. And I still don't think the 3 is as powerful or as capable as the PS VR 2 headset. But Sony doesn't have any kind of PC compatibility software inside that headset, not natively. I know there's people working on it, but that's a problem. Look, I'm not saying that Jim Ryan should have embraced the whole Game Pass idea. We all know that Sony can't afford to take that kind of hit or risk with their software. Yeah, they have to sell you their software for $70 day one. They can't just put it in a subscription service. However, they really do need, in my opinion, to adopt the strategy of, let's put this stuff in as many places as possible and make it as available to as many people as possible to buy. Because realistically, and the former president of PlayStation, Sean Layden, said this: these games are becoming way too expensive to make for you to only sell them to a very small fraction of your player base. Microsoft doesn't have that problem. Like, Starfield is not a quote unquote game of the generation, right? But from what I've played of it, and from what I've gathered from other people's various opinions, people who've actually played the game, not the trolls who are buying it, review bombing it, and then returning it because they're morons. But from people who've actually played it, I think that game is probably a solid 8, 8.5 at best. Hundreds of hours of gameplay, whole bunch of stuff to do. Typical Bethesda game, but they tried it in a genre and a setting that wasn't going to appeal to people, and it's a lot slower paced as far as how quick you get into things when compared to your typical Bethesda game. I have 20 hours in the game, which I know isn't a lot, but I still have yet to been able to buy a ship, make a ship, and certainly I don't have the force powers, but I think that stuff is like super late game. But 20 hours in Skyrim, I'm already like doing dragon shouts and stuff, right? It's a slower paced game, and Bethesda took a chance on that setting, but it worked. You know why it worked? You can buy it on PC. You can buy it on Xbox. You can stream it on your phone. You can stream it on PC. You can stream it on a tablet. There's so many ways to access it. 10 million players in about 3 weeks? That's about what PlayStation's games sell over the course of 2 or 3 years. I think, what was it, Last of Us just a few months ago hit 10 million players. But there's like 140 million or maybe 120 something million PS4s out there. That's the problem. Now, leadership is going to get switched up and they're going to come in and change some things. I believe that between all of those three things I just mentioned and the fact that they've pretty much lost alliance with Square Enix, that Glenn Schofield was probably forced to resign from his job after the debacle that was Callisto Protocol. A lot of these deals and this proximity stuff that Sony's doing with third-party publishers is not working out for them. And as a matter of fact, it's damn near burying them to the point where leadership is getting shifted. Think about it. In the last month alone, Square Enix has had a new president. I think it's Grafton has switched out Glenn Schofield, and now Jim Ryan's gone. Like PlayStation deals look like poison pills right now. You know, all of these games or all of these companies have something to do with close proximity to PlayStation, and none of it worked out. The ultimate thing I've been hearing from a lot of the talking heads on the internet, because you know, as soon as the news hit that Jim Ryan was gone, everybody's podcast went live and people were talking about it. I think the best thing I heard today, and I forget the gentleman's name, but he said that Sony's biggest lesson out of this should be, and I've always said this myself, stop weaponizing and depending on third-party content. What was one of the main things Jim Ryan said? If we lose Call of Duty, we might be done. We might die. Why is it that a third-party game no longer being exclusive to you, or third-party game no longer giving you exclusive content, runs the chance of killing your business model? I said it before, guys. There is no reason on earth that Sony should be depending on what should be neutral content. I always say that term, neutral content. Sony should not be dependent on neutral content to beat their competitors. They should be dependent on their services, their policies, and most importantly, their games. And now they got to. Now, I have no problem with them fighting against Microsoft with their games. Their games are generally speaking top notch. They're not very diverse. They're all in the same genre. You guys can hate that bit of information if you want to, but it's the truth. I don't know why Alexa's going off. But at the end of the day, that's the truth. They have that genre mastered. They're great at it. But they have not been taking chances. And because they have not been taking chances, I think that has leaned into the possibility that some of these games aren't selling well. They should be making, at this point, Sony should be equipped to make a Japanese style RPG or even Western style RPG, like the one that the fanboys were bigging up for no reason, even though a lot of them don't even like that kind of game. So yeah, around April of next year, got a new guy taking over. I don't have his name at the tip of my tongue at the moment, but things are going to be different for PlayStation, and hopefully they'll be better, because now they have a fight on their hands. And it ain't going to be easy no more. And the biggest stone you've leaned on for 7 years is going to be gone. So, interesting times ahead. Very, very interesting news week. Apparently the FTC is once again attempting to stop Microsoft. I think they're trying to get them to divest. We'll put a video up on that sometime before the weekend, hopefully. Very interesting news, but you guys let me know, is this basically a dub for Microsoft? I mean, the castle is falling apart at this point. I don't know. You tell me. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.